Come on up and join us.
Yes, I want that.
Yeah, meeting people, I didn't wanna. No, come on up.
Yeah, you can come up here since I'm not really part of it.
You got my seat.
Yes. Oh, yes. Wait till 2 right here in a second. Oh. Yeah. Oh, would you? Yes. Second May.
Oh, no. Thank you.
And this is for May. Did you get May?
Should be an agenda and then. Yeah. We don't have much of stuff when we get to it.
Yeah.
Jason, are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone to the June 18th. 2025 Facilities Committee meeting. It's 6:03. And I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Julie, do you mind taking the roll, please?
With Gilbert.
Here.
Now you're not mute.
Here.
Can you take a mute? Taylor Rumble. Julie Reese here. Bob Burns. Laura Berger. Jason Pickett.
Here.
Lynn Campbell.
Here.
Brian Cox. Amy Novelino.
Here.
Say that right? Novelino. And we.
Thank you. So I'll ask if anybody knows if there's any agendas to the, excuse me, additions to the agenda that they are interested in talking about tonight. Hearing none, we'll move on to the communications, meetings, announcements. We'll look for a good date for July. Maybe if Wednesday is a better day in July, the second or third Wednesday in July, July 9th, or July 16th. If any of those days are better for anybody,
Andy and I can all make tonight,
Andy can't make the 9th.
or I.
Or you, oh, okay.
I know that because we're on vacation together.
Oh, okay.
Families together.
Okay.
But
We have that.
16th works for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the
Just
only
letting
thing.
you know.
Okay, we'll circle back. Thank you for that, Jace. Okay, so items for discussion. The first thing we were gonna go over were carriage trails completion and carriage trails 2.0 projected build out and student enrollment. We were hoping to have Mr. Keithler attend. I know he was invited to the first one, and then when we rescheduled, he couldn't make it.
They couldn't make it.
And then when we rescheduled, we sent him a message again, but he's not, doesn't appear to be here tonight, so must not be available. But I know, Mr. Nutter, and if you don't mind sharing what you learned from Mr.
Yeah, so,
Keebler recently, and you talked to him last week?
yeah, so last time I spoke with Bill, him and I are going to get together. Well, probably end of this month. We're gonna talk about. He's giving me the plots, of all the houses that are going to be built, and I talked to the builder 2 weeks ago, and there's 50 homes probably that will be completed between now and the end of the year. That's it, and then
That's Church Trails 1.1. That's the rest of.
whatever, I don't know which 1 or 2, but from now till the end of the year.
Right. I think that's,
I mean,
Well,
they're-
doesn't have any infrastructure yet, so.
yeah, I think that's
There's no way.
the Carriage Trails one.
yeah, I mean, they're framing, they've got footers, and
Sure.
they're building, yeah.
Not for 2.0, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, in fact, my sister's got a house, I mean, it's
That's 293 acres, right? There's no roads. or-
260. Well, I think they started on the back.
Okay. Okay,
But anyway, so when I talked to Bill, he said that we would get together, he will lay out, he gave me the plots, and he'll lay out the timeline and he'll give me an idea of how many houses they'll build over the next amount of time. And we'll get projections and when I get all that, I'll relay that information, which we'll also talk to the board. Because that'll be part of what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to him. I met with him once and we talked on the phone several times. So that's where he's at with that. So he's giving me some information, but won't be giving me the details.
Can you happen to say, is that a 10-year from now projected build out? Did he give you any inkling, 15 years?
He said he would give me the details when we met,
Oh,
which I have no reason. I don't, I mean, I think it'll be done by then. And he's got another development started at Tip. So I think he'll be finished here.
yeah, it'd be interesting to know if he's gonna work those concurrently. Just be interesting, so, let's see, is there any other thing, what is the mix of units, that'll be,
You know, I'll
Important to know.
take this with me and I'll get all the questions.
I sent him this, because
I understand.
originally when he was gonna come to the one on the 12th, he said send me the agenda, so I sent him basically the same agenda. And then something came up and he couldn't come, so I asked him if he could just provide these things, but he did not. I don't think he trusts me.
Yeah.
I told him I'd read him as is, but
so
I just met him, you know, through this job, so I didn't know him before. But
yeah, the only concern is that the clock's ticking, you know, it's like every delay is always 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month out.
ticking for what? The information you're gonna
Yeah,
get.
to get the information,
Yeah, I don't see anything of immediate impact, but you think, you know, he'll give me the answer, I'll get it. Sure.
Yeah.
be interesting to know what the last 50 mix will be as well.
I think they're single family homes.
Okay. I didn't know if any of them were senior homes or anything like that.
No, I thought it was, but I know that's been talked about,
Oh,
apartments,
yeah,
senior living. Probably not a lot of kids in senior living, so much worry about space. But yeah, I'll get all that once I get with him. It's been, you know, he was traveling, I know, was watching his kid. And he's up at the end of May. So we've had 2 board meetings, 2 weeks. So it's been busy.
yeah. And the projections, we'll kind of talk about that in enrollment, because I brought a copy for everybody of the information that you shared at the, so we can do that now, or we can wait a few minutes, but if you want, we can go ahead and just cover that. That would be item E, so we'll go a little bit out of order, but that way, Mike, do you mind going through what you shared with us out of this packet, please?
No, I mean, like, so when I came here, I was curious, so we've got from 2003 to 2004, enrollment 944. You go down to 23, 24 school year, 1907. Now that's just, you know, those are kids seats here. Doesn't, you know, it's off a little bit, maybe here or there. You've got units that'll come in. We've got kids in parochial and non-pubs. We've got units across the county. So we have other kids here, but there are kids. So
sorry, wait a second, I'm sorry, I'm the secretary, I'm trying to take notes, but you're blowing through those numbers pretty fast. So, they didn't come from this paper, right? Yeah.
Reference the
Oh,
944 304,
Okay,
and then reference the 19.
okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
20 years.
So. But like I said, these are the projections. I mean, you can see where some of the, obviously I looked at the 10-year spread, right? 04 to 14. You went from, and that's the hit, right? You go 944 to 948 to 2014, and then things start to pick up. You know, 15, 16. It's a steady climb. And you look at what we just finished at 24, 25 school year. It's 2064. So we are, you know, our biggest increase was probably at the middle school this year. So, you have to ask yourself, are we gonna see elementary kids, are we gonna see middle school kids, are we gonna see high school kids? And that's the bigger question out there, right? What are, what's the birth rate, what's the average home price, what are people buying? There's a lot, it's like 6, 7 factors in all the studies that, professionals do that factor everything in. And you look at the stats and say, okay, here's where your problem to be. I think we declined in elementary, like our young fives, we went from 2 classes to 1. So we lost an enrollment there. And we haven't really gained some in the high school and some. So this is right out of EMIS data. So this is what EMIS reports. And like I said, these are actual kids in seats here. It's all.
And so just so you guys know, Heritage Trail 1.0 actually started in 2011. So that's why you kind of see some steady stuff there. And you know, down, and then 2011, there was kind of a slow coming in, but you can see it starts to
In my personal opinion too, having seen them come up from the earliest years of elementary, I think the influx was initially at elementary, but as those kids have grown, now we're seeing them here in this building. So.
Makes sense.
Being a Blizzard baby myself, is there an expected influx from COVID?
I'm not sure.
Because when I went to school,
No.
our class sizes were 65 kids in front of us. My class and my wife's class was 105. So it was nearly double just from the 78, 79 Blizzard. I didn't know if
Well, we
COVID
should
was playing a
start
factor in
seeing
that,
We should start seeing that this next school year and the year after.
That's what I was wondering. There's always
Probably 26,
6-year-olds
25,
now, right?
26, yeah.
I know our kindergarten numbers are trending higher right now,
Yeah.
maybe not, and I can't speak to exact numbers or percentages, but maybe not a specific percentage higher than the grade above them,
Sure.
but.
I just was
that is
curious if there was
interesting
a,
thought.
Yeah,
Or
we'll see
somebody
that
paid attention
next
to
year
that.
for sure.
Blizzard babies, I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
So you were a 78 baby.
79, well, more, probably the senior, right?
Oh, 78.
I was putting the chains on my dad's tires during the meeting.
Yeah, see?
Said, "Hey, change on the tires."
I bet you played in the snow and the balloon.
I didn't, yeah. And that was in northern Ohio too, so. it was really north.
What part?
Just north of Ashland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They come from Northeast,
okay. What part's that?
by Youngstown,
Okay, yeah.
the snow belt.
Yeah, I don't really get much of this. Just the tip of it.
I was just in Enid, right over here.
Yeah.
So I gave them both projection lists there, just so you know.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
And then, yes, if you wouldn't mind, if there's anything you want to point out.
Yeah, we went through this, the monthly enrollment, so the elementary school, this spreadsheet here, you've got, elementary school, you've got teachers, girls and boys, students with disabilities and ELL, which are English language learners. So that gives you an idea in the elementary, broken down by boys, girls, students with disabilities, and ELL. The young fives, like I said, there's 2 teachers, there's only 1 now, enrollment slower. You go to the middle school, you see the same thing, and then the high school. And then you've got your career center numbers, students with disabilities, ELL by buildings, and our gifted students by buildings. Your monthly. You can highlight 7% of these students with disabilities. That's a low number. Just a low number, doesn't even come close to the state average. So, people would question why that's so low. I have theories, but it would probably go up. Second language, English language learners 16, which is that's the district, but it's higher in the elementary than it is in 38% in the elementary.
Yeah.
So it's higher there. And we're addressing that. We hired some ELL teachers, try to reduce the class sizes. That helps everybody. That will help. Then you got 128 student enrollment increases, 23, 6% of increase compared to 23, 0% that gifted. That's gives us another piece. We're trying to do a better job with our gifted kids too. Right now, we identify, since we don't have to teach, this sort of model, right? We try, but we don't set forward this like we do some of the other programs. We're trying this. So,
Do you have any other questions?
But this is what we're pretty much expecting from the school. No.
well, I mean, this is
Last year, end of the year, towards the end of the year, because I can tell you in fifth grade, there's like,
It says June
one
9th.
was
Is that-
25.
Is this the June 9th number?
It's the EMIS number, so it's not updated, we don't have the. State reporting goes through EMIS, right? So we'll get, come July, they're closing books, everything in June, right? So come July, we'll start to get more numbers. Then you gotta understand enrollment. We added a section in kindergarten.
So this is end of the year number.
These are last school year.
And I know we really appreciate that extra teacher in fifth and sixth grade, because that does mean a world of difference, taking just that 4 or 5 kids out. We can do so much more.
Yeah, I mean, that ELA side too. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
gonna make a lot of,
Yes,
for the good.
yes.
And we'll be able to absorb more kids too,
Mhm.
as time.
Right.
With our planning, and then, I don't know if there's any, just 2 different shots, views of the grounds with the stadium and the elementary building, that corner there, Baggendorf and 201.
Yeah, I included those, because like I said, we've got, and they're part of our safety plan, for one thing, we've got our grounds listed, and we've got evacuation zones, fire zones and all that, right? So, but, there's like 149 acres here that we have, and there's certain parts you can't touch because they're protected. That I didn't put the out there. But there's certain parts of it that are protected, but I think it's good. I'm gonna get to the boundaries, what's available, like to build on, and I think that is another piece of the puzzle, right? I think first you need an accurate projection, and you need to see the ground, and build facility and ground where you would build things. Where you want. So I said this, you don't want to build something to tear it down. You have some vision, say, okay, this is what the next 10, 15 years looks like. When we built buildings before in the district, that was the plan. They're still standing very usefully. So. But yeah, I just included that, like I said, we will get the boundaries, and then, exactly see all the land that we have. Part of security. You'll see it on that.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. I just thought since that was kind of all in the packet, we just go through it together. Appreciate that.
I'll keep everybody updated. I'm gonna start sharing more because I get it.
I did want to check here. If you have to go at any certain time, let us know.
Discuss. Okay.
I just want you to be mindful of your time and the drive home and the school. So-
Miss me, like, I know.
So, follow up with the charter review, we passed that out, on our first meeting in April, we made the updates, but we didn't get to vote on them because we didn't have a quorum last time. We only had 5 people here at the last meeting, so we didn't, vote to.
I don't think we actually vote.
Oh,
I don't think that's your votes, but I just wanted to kind of make sure that nobody had any changes or anything to it before we.
I didn't,
We can what we would recommend to the board, so next time we would recommend that this be our charter.
okay.
I see a copy of that.
Oh, so we can have this one.
Okay.
Sorry, she emailed it to everybody, so I
Yeah.
I brought copies last time.
Yeah. So,
I was at a policy meeting.
No, I know, I'm just saying I didn't.
sorry, yeah. And I did email, but if anybody does follow, if you go back through and you see anything, let us know. I had no comments back from anybody, so.
Well, in particular, I just wanted to make sure, is there something in red on that first page? That was okay with the group? And I think she sent it in the email.
Facilities. Use the generic term, meet Bethel Local School District buildings, parking lot, drives, athletic venues, playground, and unimproved land.
Right. When we made the suggested changes to the, based on the previous charter, we changed a lot of things to just say facilities or facility instead of, I can't remember what was it, sorry. So it seemed like we kind of needed a definition of what that was. So I added that definition. If you guys don't like it, we can take it out, we can change it. But that's, she sent it out, so nobody said, so we're assuming it's okay. If you don't like it, it's fine. If you don't need it, that's
I think you need it. I think it's good. It is
remember, we used
facilities.
to say like facilities and.
It's like you said,
Something, discussion we had.
Yeah.
You're not
Wanting
voting,
to
it's a
define,
recommendation to the board.
Yeah, it's square footage,
Yeah.
So it's a guide.
Yeah.
This is a page somewhere.
So the chairperson, you'll recommend that.
So that is something I can recommend then, if nobody else had any other comments, or if you think about it, our next meeting is until July, what would that be, 21st?
Oh, board meeting,
Yeah.
that's not.
21st of July, so if you come back with anything, let us know, we can. We can reconvene for that, or well, we can bring that up in our next meeting. So really for our minutes review for May 14th, this is where officially we were gonna vote.
We don't vote on the-
We don't vote on those minutes for this meeting? Oh, okay.
I think the process is just that the secretary signs them. And
Okay.
I sent them out, you sent them out
Sent them
to
out.
everybody, so if anybody's leaving anything wrong with them, we definitely appreciate. We don't want any
Yeah.
typos or anything.
I didn't have any comments back from anybody, so, and I know not everybody was here, there was 5 people here, so.
So what I did with the last ones is I signed them as secretary and send them to treasurer. Because the school has to, because it's a special meeting, the school has a record of them. So maybe you can get a web page someday,
Yeah.
which I know you're still working on, but we get a place to put them, we can publish them there. So.
I was gonna work with Shelley on that, is that okay, or should I work with somebody else?
On the roll call, you talk about the officers.
Like a special page or link to keep our minutes on the website,
We'll talk to Shelley about that.
yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Julie. I get with.
Me and Shelley will run that. We'll take care.
Okay. Recommendation of priorities for the list of items to allocate funding to, if funding is available, so. Sorry, Mike, the list that, we had a May version and a June version of all the items being under consideration for funding if the Ohio State
But
budget.
Yeah.
Commission. And, is there anything you wanted to say about that list?
no, well, yeah, I think my understanding was the elementary project cut out several things, cut out a mechanical ribbon, cut out a stadium. Just cut out parts of the stadium, cut out the road wasn't paved. I mean, there are a lot of things that just weren't done. So, we had a field house in that package, so they weren't porta johns by the concession stand and those types of things, right? But I think that was built during COVID, and then those were cut out. I think what we looked at from capital improvement, we'll get deep into the weeds of finances, but if it's an 070 account, we can move it and make it available if it goes into permanent improvement, then I need a court order to move it back. And the point was, if the legislation came in at 30% and they would want, because we've done a nice job overall with the money, right? We've got over 30% in our unreserved balance, right? So that would take that from us. Well, the auditors tell you to keep that. amount. So we do what the auditors say, and then the legislation turned around and said, well, we want to take it. It's back up to 50% now, so we wouldn't be affected, but we just wanted to have the versatility. We're not going to encumber it in the capital improvement. We're just going to put it in a segment. That gives us some flexibility, but goal was to identify some improvement plans. Like you can't build a building, obviously, with four, but we could fix some things that need to be fixed or finish some things that wanted to be finished. But that's,
What's the total?
I think it's probably around 3-4 million that they would take.
So we can add classrooms for that though. Can't build a building. but-
No, you're saying your classroom is on there. I mean, but it was over 10 years. And like I said, we have maneuvered it to where if we need to, we can move, so we don't lose it. But I mean, that, I will see what happens. I mean, it's so
Still on the weeds.
disarray in Columbus, that's because it's like, it affects everything, right? It affects what happens when you pay, get the money back, and then I turn right around and do another levy. I mean, it's like, doesn't make a lot of sense if they're starting. So we'll see what happens, but that's what that was for. That capital improvement said it was over 10 years. That's not set in stone. It was an accounting piece, a ledger, if you will, to identify needs. We just tend to use it.
And we thought if we had time and if we could spend a little time talking about, you know, for this group, there's a list of items, but if we had generated priorities that maybe we can recommend to the board too, that the facilities committee thought was important to share that list forward, bring it forward to the board as well, and the budget committee, so to speak.
Yeah, and like I said, we've got people working on that as well internally, so we can share the ideas,
Yeah,
put our heads
exactly.
together and move forward.
Exactly. I don't know. I'm just being mindful of time because I know some people have to leave today, but I do want to make sure we touch on everything first. And you know, I know this could be important. When is the target date they think they'll know, or do they?
End of June.
End of,
They have to have it. Technically, it's supposed to be approved by the end of June 30th. We have a board meeting on Monday, June 30th,
yeah,
just in case. Well, we have to finances too.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I don't even think we'd know by that morning, would we?
yeah, probably.
Really?
I think so. Or you might know that Friday night.
Mhm.
They're gonna wait till last minute.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
They gotta let you know. So that's why we will have ours at the end of business. We can file with the state. Meet our requirement. I'll be here. Some point that day or from the night, that Friday night before, what they're gonna.
Yeah.
Because it'll go down. They're arguing now, they're in committee right now. It's not going.
No, it's not. They're not going well. It's not for the two.
So when people in Columbus tell me, so it's be interesting. But yeah, we will, that'll be done. And like I said, we'll know moving into July. What we've got to do.
well, I didn't make. Because we had a new copy the other day, I didn't make it, copies of this because I just did not have time. But I can share my one copy around, but just to give you an idea. If you want to spend some time on that, if there's anything you want to recommend. As a committee, is it the people of this committee? Want to focus on, you know, we want to see some of that. Would have to be spent by. I don't know what day, but.
Just need to be moved. The money needs
Just
to be
needs to be
moved.
moved. Oh, okay.
And then we can deal with priorities. We just had to have something to account for the amount of money.
Gotcha. That makes sense, yeah. So,
So now that this comes to pass, which I don't think it will, if it does, then we have to move money. We
This
move the
is-
monies and then we look at priorities
gotcha, yeah. So I do have
and they may change.
a PDF file of this that I just did not get to send out yet, so, maybe I can do that and we can focus on that in July. That would be like a good action to take during that
But
time,
you'll have more answers in July
and then we'll know, yeah.
and I'll have some more
What
direction
kind
from
of-
the board.
Yeah. So thanks, Mike. Just couldn't remember the dates there. The visit to Troy Christian Schools, I called today. I apologize, spent a little more time on their website today. They do have, like Julie said, they do have a lot of tours available for folks who just want to come for admissions, but I left a message though for the front office, if you will, and asked that they call me back, but I didn't get the call till 3. And so if anybody else wants to jump in, because it's taken me a little while, I appreciate it. If you don't, then that's okay. Well, I'm still gonna try to get something set up here for the next couple of weeks
And
to
what are you looking at, Troy? The barns? The field house?
actually for the module space, that reconfigurable classroom space that they have, just to see what that looks like. And hear the pros and cons and costs, and are they still happy with it? If they've been using it for a while. I don't know anybody in the staff there or on campus. I don't know if anybody else does, but
I know someone who teaches there, a couple people that teach there. They have the chain or anything.
Yeah.
But
So what prompted this was, back in the day, we went up there and looked at their buildings because we were talking about building a metal building here just because it was quicker than, just get some sort of, quick online classrooms rather than trailers. Now we know how that ended up, but we went up
I
there and
remember.
looked at that because,
I saw
yeah. That's because we took too long, and that's why I'm worried about this, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month. 'Cause that's what happened was the board took too long to decide, and then there wasn't enough time to build the building. But anyhow, the Troy Christian thing, we went up there and looked because they have a history of metal buildings, and when things change for them, their parents come in and everybody comes in and they just reconfigure the inside to what they need. So it was an interesting concept, and I mean, they're pretty nice looking, but that's what prompted it was.
Yeah, and I.
To see them in person is,
I took some administrators to North Union and Northmont too, and looked at some of that kind of space. I guess some neat facilities as well. So, I mean, as far as building a building, I mean. Some people don't like to hear it, but honestly, we probably should have one built. And breaking ground now.
yeah,
right?
well, exactly.
Exactly.
So when I got here, I was like,
Right.
when I got here last summer, I looked at the numbers and I was like, tell you what I said, but I was like, wow, we need to, where's the footers?
Right.
So,
Trailer in the back.
so I was like, and the trailers, I was out here actually when Potter was here. And all the
Oh, they
trailers
were all
were
out
out
front.
front,
Yeah.
because I didn't know her at the time, but I was coming back, one of my friends said, hey, she has a couple of questions, can you stop by and help her? And I said, in the area. I stopped by, and didn't know her, stopped by, I saw the trailer, that's why I've been here the first time I was here. So I saw those trailers, but,
the trailers that were out front.
out front. Yeah, so I think, trailers are not a great, they're just not a great option. I don't like them. They're expensive and they're temporary and, they just, if you just plan it right, I just think we need to do something this year from a building issue. The question is how respond and how would the community respond to a bond issue for a building? I don't know. I saw the renewal levy, I saw, out of all the precincts, there's 4 in the township, 3 passed, it was like 51-49, one township failed it. And every other precinct passed it, like 75-25. So I don't know, but if you, from a building and ground standpoint, you have, I've done this before from start to finish, it's a long process, but when I first got here, I did think that, okay, we should have had building plans, right? Because just for the future, but I hate to, you're gonna have some growth and eventually level off. I think this is like I said, I've seen this before. And I think you're going to you need some facilities and you need to act on it sooner than later. And I think what we've done now, I opened up Field Elementary, it bought us some time. I mean, those kids, some of those kids are in there, in elementary, we're over here, 4, and then I've been back. So I mean, you know, you've got class sizes that are great, we've got classroom space. You know, we need to find administrative space. I'm looking at that now, because I mean, we need a place for the treasurer's office, superintendent's office. I don't really care where we go, but you know, these trailers are super expensive to put administrative space. And they're temporary, they're 3 years. 3 years that you either buy it, or at least it's numbers astronomical.
We bought a building, or bought a steel building, when she's talking.
Yeah, I mean, I went and looked at that church for sale.
Yeah,
Remember, we talked about that. I went and talked to the realtor Friday, I'm gonna let you guys know, but I went and talked to the realtor. Monday, went and talked to him Monday. Who actually was the pastor of the church. He's the realtor too.
Well, he was never a
Yeah,
pastor
he,
there.
it's not that.
No, but, okay,
He is a pastor.
yeah, that's what it was. He was a pastor, I don't know. But I got the whole run. Nice guy. But he said, it was back, you know, it was kind of off the market, but back on the market, and he goes, I think that would be great if the school bought it, you know, and he showed me around, showed me, got parking spots, bathrooms, kitchen, office space, I mean, and that's cheaper than the trailer. So to me, you know, it's not on site, but I've been in places where we weren't on site before, I had to come on site. But I mean, that, yeah, from a buildings and ground, like, so we've got to find places for our offices this summer, which, not gonna talk about enormous amount of people. But I do think down the road, you know, you need to look at this, and I'll provide, like I told you last board meeting, I'll provide more information as we move forward about planning and what it looks like, or, you know, some suggestions and options, you know, community board to give input, you guys can decide, right? I just think that you need to, that discussion needs to happen this summer. Unfortunately,
Thanks, that's kind of.
it's not,
yeah, rolls right
not
in-
really talk about
rolls
buildings.
right into the short-term, classroom space needs. And, the renovations, new construction, swing space, which was listed on here as trailers. So,
The renovation, you want me to talk to these?
yeah, and if you, yes, please,
Okay. Good.
what you shared, where you're at, and if this truly happened today, if the FMD, I mean, if you had some interviews today, I don't know if you can share with that, about that. I saw that was on the calendar for today, that for June 18th, from like 1 to 4, you were, if anybody bid on any of the short term.
Oh, no, so that we ended up not doing that because we're not going to do the construction.
Okay, okay.
That
Go ahead and
was-
update us all then.
Yeah, okay, so that,
Sorry.
so that RFP was only if we were going to, make the, I think you guys called it the old kitchen library for the MD, it's where,
Mhm.
the discussion that Todd and I had, we were going to frame that out and make that office space. But then we saw, right, we got to price it, you know, I can't, even though it's not a big job by law, I can't get drawn without putting it out to bid. So we're gonna put it out to bid, but then, you know, you get into, okay, that's extremely expensive, and I don't know if we did need a space down the road. I don't want to build something and tear it back down, it drives me nuts, it's a waste of money. So we didn't set that out, so that's why we're not gonna do that project. The other one was plus barn, right? But we're with that on hold for now too. We're in negotiations with everybody. See what happens with this budget, but to your point, that FMD piece, that was just an RFP for architects, and they
Yes,
were due today, but I didn't set it out because we didn't,
okay,
that's why we didn't publish.
okay.
So
So. Is there any other projects for this summer then?
So we've got, I mean, other than us just moving, open that 5-6 building, you know, renovations, we're redoing some of the rooms, obviously. Bringing them up to, and making them clean and neat, new carpet, some of that stuff. New construction, we, at this point, with opening that building, we're good on rooms. All right, we can absorb some more kids for next year or two, right? But we're good. We have some spaces in the elementary. We've got a couple here in the high school that next year, if we needed to add over the summer, we can make those classrooms. That's not a problem. you know, some of these buildings were built to be expanded, it's another, you know, from a new construction. So in the swing space, we're not doing trailers. So that's, we have enough room for kids. And then long-term classroom space, the new construction, like I said, I don't think you need a new building. I'm not opposed to putting a building in CT2. I know developer. He's not near as excited about a building over there now as he was when he started. So. That doesn't mean he won't. I mean, he said he had green space and he was willing to, our last conversation, he was willing to. Just keep the green space, you know, what that would cost, whatever, he give X amount of dollars to us. Of course, all that has, but not writing. I've heard all kinds of stories, but until I see it writing, get a signature. It's a story. So. What's that?
So to make sure they don't put you in a flood zone. They've had some problems over there with water in the basements and
We're at,
stuff.
in Carriage, oh, okay. I knew we had some issues with water over here on this retention, but it's really not our issue, but. But yeah, so that's the school building piece and keeping old elementary versus demolishing in the future. I mean,
When do we get the money from the ELPP project? What's the schedule for that?
it's a good question.
Because that's part of the problem right now, right? And that was the intention, was to take that money and start the next building.
And I
In the
think,
meantime, backfill into the old elementary school, and that was always the plan.
yeah, so the number before I got here, the number got called. For the Elk project, right? So. The expedite, when that Elk project number got called, we turned it down. So we weren't ready. So it goes back on the list, right? And if you remember, FMD talked about that. They talked to FCC, the number got turned out, and part of it, I think, didn't make sense according to what I heard, is the fact that. We weren't ready at Bethel building yet. And
Right.
so
Because they hadn't annexed.
I don't know all the details, but I would tell
But
you,
it doesn't even have anything to do with annexation, because basically, so basically what that does is it builds us the space. Because we have to give up space, right, once it's all completed. And it would also give us the chance to get a new projection from them, which. In theory, should mean we get more money than we were promised, because we built that school for 1,000, and obviously.
what opened up more capacity, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it was close, but, yeah, so. We should get more money when they redo the evaluation.
So to answer your Elk question, so what'll happen is. We'll figure out, you will figure out once this budget gets finalized, what all they've done, what they've cut, what they've carved, they've added, taken out, right? I mean, we'll get through that. When we get through that, then, we'll see what number we're at on the Elk project, the state. I know some people that I still have some contacts at OFCC. OFCC. Have some contacts still there, and we will talk about, we will start the lobby and say, okay, where's our number? Call it, we get our number, we call it, see what the split is, right? For the Elk, because you get money back, then there's a
Well, all
share.
of that's already in place.
Yeah, but
The
it's,
split doesn't change and the money shouldn't change other than.
it depends, if you want to build a building, say, here's state share. I mean, there's other ways to do that. I'm just saying, I'm not going to sit here and talk about the Elk project yet, because I don't know.
Okay,
That's giving you some thought of like what you could and couldn't do. So,
So did that happen in this, do you know when that happened, from the time when we. Let's say, opened the elementary building, and before you came on, was that when that number came up again?
I do not know. OCC just said that your number was offered, denied, we turned it down.
Huh.
I don't
I don't know either.
that was the ELPP number or an OFCC?
know, the Elk number for us to take the money. They called, we turned it down. They talked, that was brought up before me, they talked about it.
I'm very confused.
I wasn't here. Can't answer. I don't know why it was turned down.
I mean, the money should be the money, right?
Yeah, my understanding, so from The state, it's still state money. I mean, we make payments on it, right? So you make payments.
Well, we make payments because we didn't get any state money. We don't have it yet, right? That's why we make payments.
Right, but I mean, it's still state. Well, I get that.
Should we have songs for that?
Well, I mean, I just okay what I see on the kiosk and treasure.
Should we have, would it be worth it to have somebody come and talk to us about that?
FMD can do that again. They've already done the homework on it.
Yeah,
We've talked about it before.
oh, yeah, we
Explained
did
it.
that in January, I think, early January.
Yeah.
But not to this group and maybe,
Well, they're about ready to, they're about ready to come to another board meeting.
Can an OFCC person come and explain it? Like, let's go right to the horse's mouth.
Possibly, or I maybe we'll get Rhonda down here.
Is that our new,
I know she's OFCC for.
but we have a, like a liaison or something, right? Because the one we had before, she left.
Well, anybody left, that's the problem. There's like only two people I know still there, they just said we go.
But somebody is assigned to us, though,
yeah,
so can we get that person?
We'll see, I can check. Like I said, FMD has been working on that with the OFCC, see who their contact is.
And the other question we had for the OCC was, they typically have a square footage ballpark build number. So how much it costs per square foot to build something new right now. So if we're gonna look at maybe adding on some classrooms or something that's not an entire building, well, even, it applies either way, but is there somebody we can get that number from?
Yeah, that's all available. You just have to be careful on. You use the OFCC, you have to do exactly what they, want, right?
So I understand, but they have a number that would be, I mean, it's good for a ballpark estimate, right, to say, okay, if we're gonna
Yeah. you-
go out here and build 400
You call them now and say, how much square footage? You get
Well,
lots.
to be honest, I called yesterday, I tried to call yesterday and I tried to call today from two different phones and it keeps saying invalid number, so. I scoured their side, I looked at different, yeah, it was,
The office has been decimated, it's not.
yeah, and I thought, wow, they really went into hiding, so. They did have the website, you could put a question in, so I put it in, it went, we'll see if it comes back, I don't know where it went. So I tried that yesterday, so I was waiting, I didn't hear anything, I checked today, I didn't have anything, but.
Where is it?
It says pretty in front, close. About here.
Yeah.
It'll blow over.
Yeah, just that won't be here for hours.
Oh,
It looks like it's one of those, you just wait and it's gonna be gone as fast as it comes.
oh. So, yeah, Julie, I'm trying to take that on here anywhere else, I was, that I did, so I kind of ran into a dead end there, but, yeah. As far as long-term type things, I know, just you kind of mentioned that FMD, is planning to come to our board meeting,
Yeah,
in
either July or
July, yeah.
probably July.
And make sure that everybody knows, I'll share that date again when we know for sure they're coming, so, that way they can't come back again or won't, or we wouldn't necessarily need them to if we can make sure all the information's available. Plus you can always, it's gonna be, videoed, so we can always watch it again, but I'll make sure everybody knows when they're talking about that. Because Mike, you have been working with them some.
Yeah, them and our personnel, Todd, staffing. with
Yeah,
the, you know, people we got here.
yeah, and actually, I apologize, calling on you a lot, Mike, here, but can you, Mike introduced something in our workshop last week, the strategic educational plan.
Mhm.
And can you kind of go through that, because I was trying to make sure I knew where the facilities committee still fit into that plan, so.
Yeah, so
Do you
the,
mind talking about that?
yeah, so the strategic plan, right, is a living, breathing document, it's a roadmap for the district, right? And encompasses all, you know, all things, right? Academics, buildings and ground, community input, and facilities is something that falls into that strategic plan. You need a plan so you can plan for the future instead of just hodgepodging things together. I think, so that'll be a board, that will be run by the board, that way community can hear it, input, and that strategic plan is gonna be, that it's all encompassing, right? Academics, athletics, facilities, all that. It's just not one, there's other, PTOs and those organizations, they all fall under that strategic plan, and how they help the district, so. That's just something, we talked about that, it was, it was in some of the campaign literature that, when people ran on it, I think every district I've ever been with either had one or we made one while I was there. I think it's important. Some districts still use it, you adjust it, adapt it, you go on, but you need to have that. So if something happens or, new people come in, what was the mission? What's the goal? What's it look like? And it takes a process, but there's a lot of meetings, a lot of community meetings, different folks, different stakeholders involved. So we're gonna do that from the board perspective as a whole.
And so I want to go back through the charter and make sure that it aligns, that we still have there's a fit there for us to be recommending things. And
Make sure the charter fits within the strategic.
yeah,
We do have a strategic plan. I don't know if they left it with you, but we spent a lot of money on it and never used it.
Never used it. Well, I think too, when was it done?
It's outdated.
It's time to do it.
Well, it's probably, I mean, yes, it's outdated, but it was so generic that it's probably not entirely outdated.
Well, I mean, we're not
But
gonna
it could
spend
be a
any
good
money on
start
it because I
Yeah,
told
good.
them.
yeah,
I've done them before. I did them for districts 4 times this size. I did them as a city superintendent. We could do them, or we could pay somebody $40,000 and they're gonna schedule the meetings for me. I'm still gonna do my work. So I think we can schedule the meetings at 40K.
so
So,
I'm just saying it could be a starting point though.
Right.
It was pretty generic and I don't think it ever entirely got fleshed out down to the action level.
not that I can tell.
Oh, you do that?
No, I don't see that it got flushed out.
Yeah.
I think it was just so much turnover.
Well, COVID came in too. It was, I think we got it. COVID, yeah,
Well, I mean,
that became obviously.
but I mean, Amy, you've been here, right? You've been here.
20
Okay, so,
20 as a teacher, 13 as a student.
Okay, well, everywhere the bodies are buried, then so, but I think, I mean, you can attest, you were here and you got here, I mean, you can attest that the turnover, I think, is very detrimental.
Yes.
To the system.
Yes.
So, it's never a good thing,
Right.
but, it's just been so much.
Mhm.
So, in a lot of key positions, and good things, right, but I think a lot of things are so. We're trying to fix that. Retain and stick around and get things.
does anybody else have any other questions for Mike about the long term and the strategic educational plan?
Yeah.
The new vision, I don't know, I would say the new plan.
Yeah, it'll be no vision. I'm just saying, it's just a vision.
Well, hopefully we can act upon it.
That's the plan, and we will. I mean, unless somebody takes me out of here kicking and screaming, we're moving along.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Mike. So the site plan, the next item is site plan for campus.
So wait, before we move on.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to see what I found. So all those things that I looked for last time. One thing was the metal building information.
Oh, you
So I did find buried in presentation. There we go. So this was in 2018. There's a comparison sheet, renovation versus modular units versus steel structure. This was when we were talking about renovating the choir room into, the choir room into 2 classrooms, which turned out to be majorly expensive in one big classroom. But the modular at the time, so I guess this is back then, but the range for the modulars was basically 600,000 to $1 million. And that's with everything. And the steel structure was 1.2 to 1.5 million. So that's why I'm saying we kind of blew it there because we would still have the metal building with the additional classrooms had we been on it and done that at the time. So now we know this isn't today's price, it's obviously it's 7 years old, but maybe we can look into some prices and see what's out there today. Costs.
Was it one of your, just a handout that you had, Julie, or was that,
It's
You're right, obviously part of the presentation.
I mean, it's part of a huge presentation.
do you know who gave that? I don't know. I just wondered if you prepared that.
I'm gonna guess that I did, probably based on what was going on at the time. I mean, obviously, it's like all
From
mine.
your opinion in that, what would be our best bet? Would it be to build like a high school with a community center focus? So like you have your academic wing, and I've seen where a lot of them are building the high school side where you have like your auditorium and everything where the community can come and use it, and double gyms and everything.
Yeah,
Dual gyms, and we got a swim team now. I mean, Charlie's the only one other school right now that has it, so we could hold meets, we could do,
yeah, I mean, you're
would that be our
not,
biggest bang for our buck?
well, I mean, pools are incredibly expensive.
They are.
I mean, you have a lot, we're joining the CBC, right? So now we
Yeah.
got all these other sports, which we did for a reason, right? Because our kids can't play half their games because nobody in
Right.
our current conference has teams.
Mhm.
So, now we've got all these extra sports and, things for kids to do that actually they can compete now, right? It goes all the way down to middle school. I mean, after being here a year and just looking at everything, I mean, I think, obviously the high schools are more expensive. because
Yes.
The gyms and the cafeteria, it wouldn't be nice, and there's no, and I've said this before, there's no, the districts before where I've been, like in Mechanicsburg, for example, it had a count, had a place for people to go. I could go to the diner, I could go to the library, I could go to the chamber. I mean, there's lots of places we could go and meet, right? We don't have anything. So unless you're here,
No, don't.
no.
Right.
So this basically, I would love to see this place become the focal point of the town hall. I mean, we talked about moving some of the athletic fields and putting all our youth sports out here, these 140 acres, and everybody could be here. I think a high school is a better option. It's just more expensive, but I think this could be a perfect middle school, if you will, right? The gyms, and then you're building high school with, like you said, I mean, you've got, the stadium, you could put it out there, buy the football stadium, you have a field house and things like that, and then you have like Townley, some of the other schools that built like community centers.
Yeah,
It's
that's
nice,
Mhm.
but it's what, what the community has a tolerance for, what they'll pass. They want.
So,
Yeah, I mean, but I think if you get everybody on the same page. And, everybody can say, okay, there's a general consensus to move forward and. Make this place what I think it can be.
Mhm.
I think it's a great place, just needs to take care of it, polish it, I've said that before, show some interest and stick around long. Yeah, I mean, this is a stepping stone for me, I'm here and then I'm gone.
Right.
Doing this. So, I
Well,
mean,
plus, yeah,
but I think to answer your question, I do think that. Yeah, I'm concerned about an elementary because the outgrowth, right?
Mhm.
But I do think, we'll see what this data comes back. Here, I think it'd be nice to have another high school. And this could become a middle school. Elementary. I mean, you've got a nice facility, you might not need any. Because once this gets built out, I mean, it's not like It's not like, Union County or Delaware County. I mean, you're gonna be landlocked
Right.
at some point. You don't think?
I don't think so. I think Heber will keep coming. Absolutely.
I don't think they'll keep coming, but I mean, I'm just saying you can't, there'll be a fight for that, right? But my point being is, I think. It's like out there, there's just nothing to farm, bought it, get it growing, nothing to stop them. So here you're surrounded by other districts. So, I mean, that's fine. It's my 2 cents. I mean, we'll see what the data show. What
I
they
was
come
just
back with.
wondering if you had any thoughts that might help.
I would
some
love to see
ideas
that.
out
I
there.
think that would be great.
I mean, just thinking that community concept, you know.
Mhm.
You know, people could use it for town hall meeting, you could use it for function. You know, hey, it's, you know, I've often thought, you know, invite the community, you know. Different building, you know, once a month, you know, parents want to come in, community members want to come in. Answer questions, talk. Coffee, I mean, we've done that before, but it's just no place to do it, but that's. You know, that's, I mean, I used to go to the gas stations, the barber shops and sit there and talk to people all day, right? We don't have that. I go to Big Mike's. But
Yeah.
I see a lot of drivers. And, you know, a few people here and there, so.
And there had been earlier discussion, a couple times, about the old building being a good, place for, like a senior center or, sorry,
A community.
and a community center, yeah, or.
That's that auditorium, a little elbow grease in the auditorium, that's a nice little area. I like it. Yeah. Steps are shady.
Yeah.
Joy, was there anything else in your notes that
I
you
was-
wanted to bring up?
I moved to this district, I was always surprised at how much the area is in love with that building. I just, yeah,
Yeah, well,
I,
you know,
I love to see, I hope I'm around long enough to see it go. So, I'm like, we're not in the business of being museums here, you know, and I just, every time I'm in that building, I'm like,
Make it a community center, anything they touch is gonna cost them millions of dollars.
exactly, ADA compliance in that
Because
building
they
is a
got
nightmare. I mean, that's a lot.
that's why it costs so much to upgrade even bathrooms and that,
Right.
because.
I'm running 3 elevators and I'm looking at
Everything's
that
gotta
place.
come up to new code,
Yeah, I
and
look at
it's
that place, and
expensive,
everything I have to follow and knowing my budget, it's just.
yeah,
so you're not wrong, I know,
and some, the
yeah.
bricking's starting to fall off of it.
But it would be nice for a couple.
We got our dollars out of it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes,
No, but you're right, but I know that, I mean, there is an attachment to it. and
Yeah, well,
Oh,
and it's less now than it was when we first moved to the district, but yeah, it was like,
Yeah, so I don't know how familiar you are with Mechanicsburg, we commented, I learned my lesson, he said 1894 building, one most of elementary, that was built in 1894, it's called the 1894 building. Had a bell in it and everything.
yeah,
Ring the bell on Friday nights. We were gonna build a new building and I had to tear that down. Saxby had donated all the way behind it, so. You know, and you thought when I said it's tearing down an 1894 building. I mean, you thought I think it was for. I mean, they were so upset, sounds like, so it's like, so we ended up taking the bell out. of 1894 building, built the same front facade as the
To make that
1894 building.
and then.
The new
Well,
one.
that's the thought with the elementary.
that's the problem with the parks out here, they're trying to, yeah.
With the columns in front of
So
you.
that makes sense.
You see, I love heritage and I love old buildings and I love older things, but I don't think the school board is in the business of running a museum. You know,
So the good thing
and-
about the location that opened so. And then. So now someone wanted to make it, so, just like.
then I've seen that happen too, and they're one of my home community and they get really run down and look like crap.
And the problem with that is even do that. It'll go further. entities that come in.
Yes,
Other
other
entities. that come in.
entities, oh.
You can't control it. You don't want them in your back.
No.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they bought one of our old schools, and it was fine for 10 years, and it's.
Yeah.
When is the conference switch over? Is it 26, 27?
No, 27th, 2 years.
Yeah. Definitely need a field house. We had one Ken Ridge game this year.
And that's what I was thinking.
It was a
That's why I
nightmare.
was asking, because you didn't think facility wise, we're gonna have more people coming. Because the parents in CBC tend to be more intense. We're gonna have more people showing up and our facility's gonna be big enough now to hold them. That's why I was asking, what would the best bang for our buck be? And if we truly want to keep that community focus. We don't have an auditorium here. Got that old one that's. But look at the plays we do, look at the musicals we do.
Well,
And
here-
why
so-
wouldn't we want a facility where the community could come and enjoy that and then. Open it up and start, hey, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, let's start getting them to start using our facilities and, and sometimes you even gotta look at, oh, well, if they're actually a Bethel. Why would we wanna charge them $50 to use it when there are kids?
I don't agree with that. I think they should use it for free.
That's what I'm
I
saying,
agree.
so we've got, if you really wanna do, now, if it's like, hey, we wanna have a celebration or something, that's a different beast. But if it's like a youth organization or something, they should be allowed to use that.
That was the intent here. And that's what.
I know, but
So
I'm just
Maddie just did
saying,
her dance recital here
yeah,
Sunday, a week ago.
Yeah.
Did we charge them for that?
I don't.
No.
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
It's the second year in a row, and I'm like, oh, this is really nice, we used to be in Troy, so I
So, yeah, but I don't know these
we
things.
did in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
I know that.
They started a renter's fee and I just disagree with that. I
Yeah.
think
400
for school, we should put
No,
A lot,
within reason.
a lot, but the way it works, they're not all there at once.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's 2 hours. Of course, my daughter danced like the second one.
Just think that we opened up for our community would be phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
But it is a lot better here than in Troy, we used to do in Troy. But I know at the end of the night, we put chairs in.
Yeah.
Like, we try to help out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course, I've known Todd a long time, so like, I'm just trying to help Todd out.
So set up all those numbers, so if it was
My oldest daughter, 19, he used to go.
for the good of the community. So like a town hall meeting,
They have a nice
You
dog.
still use
things
this
like
like
that,
that.
it'd be free.
They don't charge them.
that I do not.
And I know that like scouts come in here during the Boy Scouts and then the girls met over in Mr. Burkhart's room and we did that for years, the year before that. It's at my house, because I just opened up the space to let them come in
You
because.
can troop exist anymore now, though. The Bethel troop
Oh,
dissolved.
no, that troop, boys all tabled out,
Yeah.
got older and then, so it's.
So our Tip City troop just took on the last of the. Yeah, or we would move, we went through a whole thing, because we were in the Methodist church, Global Methodist. Couldn't get to stay, keep our charter here, it was some touchy. We were gonna go to the Eagles.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like, yeah, man, good, all right.
But by that time, yeah, nobody charged us for that, so. it's good.
I just, yeah.
Because it was better.
I love it at the point because we don't have a town, every time I go to a Covington football game, I'm like, so envious, I'm like, oh man, these people can just drive their lawn chairs and go to the game. We have a small town, and I grew up in the same thing, like, we didn't have a town, we had 3 little towns in a cornfield, that's where I was. Because we were in the middle of the triangle. Yeah, so it's the same thing. That was a small school, yeah, called Mapleton, Mapleton Mounties, unique mascot for sure.
Oh,
Canadian police, yeah. Yeah.
Well, oh, yeah, and we did try to meet a couple times at the township meeting building. They let us in too for free,
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the scouts at the same time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the township building.
it's just not so,
But it's not.
you can't handle a ton of.
But yeah, the trustees could even use their building, they could, how tight that gets in there when they have a,
I have suggested that they don't. Because they would let us use it for free. That's one of the.
yeah, but if we had a place, you'd almost have to strong arm them when you have, especially when you got. The nights when they had to move it to the fire station because
I'm with you.
Yeah.
There's three trustees.
Yeah.
so you
once we
gotta-
tear down their old
you gotta
school, they'll
have
get
two
used to
out
it.
of three.
Time for change. I like you. Campaign all the way.
all right.
But honestly, the Kenton Ridge football game is an eye opener of what's coming with this.
Oh, yes.
Back, what,
Because, oh my goodness,
It's like 150.
yeah, that
I would love
helped.
to see ours grow.
And then every parent, you know, of course, we started an hour later that night because it was hot. The football game was delayed to 8. I sold
They're always
1,300 bottles of pop or something that night. Yeah, and we could only stock like 700, 800 out there. So I moved everything out of this during the game. It was all night, I was just shoveling pop.
Just
And
imagine
we
if you
can't do
actually
this. when
had
the
something big
company-
enough to, that wasn't,
because yeah, Northland's got a refrigerator, everything there. I mean,
because that's the thing, you're gonna
We
have to
ran out.
have a double-sided one.
Oh, yeah, we need one we can stock from the back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of the things I did find while I was searching.
You're gonna love it.
we ran out of everything but about 20 bottles of water.
Yeah.
I was like,
So one of the things I.
It's nuts.
Fair, go see Fair.
Oh my gosh, I drive by it every day.
It's beautiful on the
My
highway.
kid, my nephew goes.
Yeah.
So one of the things I did find in my files while I was searching was students. And also a revised pages that's. Printed for you, I can send the files to, it's from Barn Noah.
Well, I reached out to Todd about that, about 8 months ago. He told me he would get back with me and we could talk in a little more depth. And it's just like, like you said, 2 weeks then extend another week. Next thing, here we are 8 months, a year later. But in my hometown, we privately did it. School didn't have the money to
Well,
build a
that's
field
what was
house.
supposed to happen here.
And I was like, I'll start heading this up and I know a bricklayer and an electrician and this,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that.
But those get stalled out easily too. And it's, you gotta have at least a plan B.
Yeah, they're gonna go get a loan or something.
We were talking about contacting CTCs. And seeing if they have programs that would come and help us build it.
Yeah.
And because then,
yeah, we're getting a handle on boosters and all that,
yeah,
pledges and bricks and they're
but
going through all that.
I mean, I've known, yeah, cause some CTCs, I'm sure if you contacted some of them, you'd be surprised some of them around
Well,
here.
the booster treasurer could have came from there. She'd tell you, I don't think they have enough money to.
But we've got enough money, in general fund too, this, you think we were gonna spend money that we could.
Well, and can we jointly do it?
That was what I was gonna say.
My wife's the booster treasurer, that's what I was saying.
Oh,
We can work together, if we say we got X amount of dollars, or are we?
And that's where I was at Todd, I was like, can we at least put up a thermometer thing so people know where we're standing on this and when they're going to the porta pots, cause we hear it all, right? We're working in those, concession stand every, those 5 football games.
That's a good idea, because people see that and they're like, they want to complain, donate.
Once we get,
A little QR code.
no, you know that.
But we don't have a plan yet, so it's not
I know,
like,
that's
we don't know if
what I
it's gonna cost $500,000 or.
Right, right.
It's about 1.5 million.
That's,
That would
that's
have
about where I was at.
concessions and everything.
And I told Todd, I go, are we talking brick building or can we do a metal pole barn kind of style thing, Can we reduce this and then modularize it if we need to add on to a bigger football team or?
Yeah, I'd like to work with the picture, we just, this first year I got here, so. Fire burning.
Oh, yeah, so I get it, the field house is,
out.
the field house is the least of
But now it's important,
Yeah.
I mean, it was always important, but there are other things. ahead of
And we
me.
can survive for the next, but I'm thinking once we go to the new conference, it's gonna be a
But you think
challenge.
too, that'd be part of too, even the. Selling point too, maybe even if you did the high school over there, then, could be encompassed or enveloped.
But see, that's the
together.
thing with the planning piece, right? That's what I want, when you have planners involved, like I've always said, don't build something I gotta tear down.
Right,
So like if you build a field house out there, knowing that you're gonna build a school attached to it or next to it, right? So that, because the field house is expensive, but compared to the building, it's inexpensive, right? So it would be so nice, because you think you hear it, I hear it too, right?
Right, oh no, I know you did,
Porta Johns.
way worse, yeah.
And I'm working on a solution for Porta John, this short term, but that's not for this meeting, but but I would think that now we're had some funds available to us, and we have boosters and starting to get a handle on it, we can work together, we could possibly get something built for next year, right? You gotta do the timing right, so you know, it's better than I do.
It'd be the 26th year.
Yeah, right, that's what I'm saying, you gotta, get all the plans.
And the good thing is, no matter what field house, if you put it where it's at, where the porta pots are and all that, it's backed up to the Woods Creek part. So there's nothing that's gonna, you're not gonna build a school there, right? 'Cause that's the wetland area that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
some parts are protected. yeah.
Right, so there's nothing that's gonna fit in between that and the end of the field.
It goes out that
But
way.
but the other side of the field, obviously, you can put a school down there.
Right.
You don't wanna feed that into.
Right. And
Well, the other problem is, we undersized the bleachers grossly. Originally, we were gonna move,
Teachers sufficient now.
yeah, I mean, it's not even close if we start having games like Kent Ridge game. So we already fill it on a normal, small school night.
yeah, 'cause when I got here in July, we didn't have.
Yeah, well, we were originally gonna move the,
Right.
we were gonna move the home side as the visitors. But then they didn't want the middle school, and I don't know if I have the story completely. They didn't want the middle school to play on the turf, so then they had to keep this football field, and we couldn't move those pictures, so. Temporarily put those,
I heard that too.
I don't know how true. But yeah, it was a lot of work to move those pictures too. So,
But we're working on the facility side on the field because we had some things last year. I noticed we're not doing that much. I mean, the way that they shared fields and football, soccer, and some kids could use it, some kids could.
yeah, well, it's tough on us too, because now we're, during that season, we're stocking 3 concession stands, volleyball and 2 football fields. And soccer, right? So it's constant, we don't have refrigerators, we don't have, places to store stuff. Where I'm moving a hot dog machine back and forth, it's just silly stuff. And the boosters can buy a new hot dog machine, but we didn't want to waste money, right? We didn't want to do this and then, okay, we're getting a new field house and everybody's gonna play out there, we're getting rid of stuff like that.
All right, that makes sense. I mean, we
Well, the
see your
intention
point.
was never to get rid of the football field out here.
But the intention was to move those grandstands.
Well, that came up when there wasn't enough stands, that wasn't.
That's why they didn't buy any stands originally. For the visitor center.
That wasn't the original.
23rd, I think.
That was when we got the walls.
Yeah, I believe it's the 23rd. It's right, this first day of school is the 26th, right?
Yeah.
It's right
So the
before.
whole thing.
I don't think the day is set in stone yet, so
Okay. Probably.
all I know is I have to smoke. a Bunch of pork butts and I get a 3-day warning.
Hey.
So my neighbor has the big smoker that does like 14 pork butts and that's what we do instead of doing the hog roast anymore, yeah. We do it the day before we meet.
That's what we do it.
Yeah.
And I know we were gonna go out and get. And Mr. Nutter, this before, I know that there was a plan to go out and get a loan for the field house at a point, and
The
then
boosters were gonna get them.
the boosters were gonna get the one. And there was paperwork brought to some meetings, but it just, I don't think Dave and Todd had an opportunity, or they just couldn't get together and go to the Pittsburgh Bank. Visit the, I think.
Well, like I said, I think we can talk about this, but.
But Damon and Todd's not the boosters. So.
It's just,
They're
I
not
think
any
it's,
part of the athletic boosters.
I know they were working
Okay.
at that time,
but
which
see
is
how,
already 2 years.
now I think,
Sure.
we could talk about a lot of this, like what if, what could,
No,
what should have, but yeah, but your point being is, I
It's
agree
not-
with you. But what I'm saying is, we've now got a financial house. Getting things straightened out there, questions are being asked about how to coordinate. And I think now's the time to coordinate with you. What drove me nuts when I got here, there was a silo, everybody operated on, right? We didn't do everything in conjunction, we did things together. We didn't have procedures, we have protocols, okay, so what's next? I mean, now, we've addressed the immediate issues, right? About the big fire, now we're sitting down. We need to do some things. In the community, I think now's the time. Close the books this year, see what the budget and stuff.
That's exactly why I joined this committee, because I wanted to be in both groups to blend them together, yeah.
That's a lot of districts do that, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
And that's on the list, and making sure that, the kids who do come to school have, class. Buses and everything else that they need, and then have the rest of the, I want to say entertainment, the opportunities.
Extracurricular.
Yeah, the extracurriculars. Oh, I'm sorry, Julie, were you? Were you done with what you
For that
found?
building, yeah, that was everything I had. I just
Okay.
wanted to, I mean, I said I'd look those up and I found it documented. So it's not, I think that nobody was.
The ultimate Band-Aid, for sure.
Thank you. Julie, also. For the site plan for the campus, were you able to, I know you were looking for
So I
things.
found a bunch of documents. Some of these are from Lemon Quarter, so really old, but I didn't print a bunch of copies. I thought we could just pass them around. I printed all the ones that showed some sort of layout. And then also. That's all these, and then this presentation I definitely did. So this was when we were trying to figure out about the elementary school, where things would go. And it just takes the site and has a whole bunch of different options and then the pros and cons. But the nice thing about this is, these little pieces on here came from Levin Porter. So I cut them all out and we can move them anywhere we want. So it would be close. It's not a professional, but we can change it over and over and over if we want to try to do like a or different things. So yeah, all of these little pieces can just be moved around. It's PowerPoint. So
Do you guys want to work on something like that next week and then we can read? Sorry, next month.
and I can send the whole thing out. I just want to print a bunch of copies.
Yeah.
Send electronic.
Yeah, I can send it electronically and everybody can look at it and maybe have some ideas of
Yeah, for
where
your-
you think things should go.
Maybe everybody try to lay it out, like,
And then
couple
outside of the
times.
meeting, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm happy to volunteer, somebody else can, if they want to, can take those vacancies.
Yeah, that's what I like everybody to kind of make it, if you don't mind, make a couple copies and try to cut out the pieces and try to, lay it out. Yeah, have some
Or
ideas.
just hand it out, I'll let you know where you can.
Yeah.
I don't see my pickleball court in here.
Well, there was no pickleball. I'm with you, and that's part of the thing.
That's one of the community ads, right?
There's a tennis court though.
Hey, that's it.
That's all soccer.
Yes.
You guys have, that's pickleball players.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
We do?
you see them out of the pickleball places.
We got trap shooters, pickleball.
My son's a
players.
trap shooter. I was like, can we trap shoot here? Firearms.
We have kids that are in tennis, tennis, so,
Yeah, we
I mean, there's a lot of
try to make
sports
trap
our kids
shooting
are
part of
running,
that
it's just,
credit flex.
we didn't have a
I'll
conference.
tell you what,
That's good stuff.
Brent just placed fifth in state. 700 kids.
Wow, that's great.
Shot a 198 out of 200. That's pretty good. And Haley won the JV.
Wow.
girls. Yeah, she's number one, so that
Oh,
was,
wow.
that's pretty good. So they both get to go to national back to the public. But yeah, we were just there Monday. shooting
Oh, that's
state.
great.
Oh, that's.
So Hayden had his PR. We had 3 kids have their best rounds. We had 3 kids at 50 in a row for the first time. And then we had those other 2. So it was a really good day.
That's great.
It's national off of 71 there.
Yeah, so state. Used to be a Vandalia here and then I moved it out to where.
So there's other things to see from there as well, like, I know we've got the time, we talk about cross country here too. And especially if you get a big conference, it's not flat here, so that's the activity.
They did a cross country meet here. though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked I brought breakfast pizzas for it.
Well, but that's not on.
But it was huge and it's cross country brings. Unbelievable. I was like, this is crazy. When you have a big invitation. It's as big as football.
They probably use some else.
Yeah. I don't think it's.
They went on that motor.
Yeah. They're used to flat there.
Not sure.
What's that? Of
Oh, yeah.
course, used to be.
They used to run over on Dayton.
I grew up with Green and
The
Local
big
School.
courts are
Green
like
had a
Peterbilt and
cross
stuff,
country. It didn't have hills. It was
Well, but I'm just, I was
Yeah.
at the point that it's not on there. so
through the
that's-
farmland and the farm field area, remember out
Oh,
there?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I ran because of. And it's interesting, the kids would always beat us. Down the reservoir dam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge reservoir.
Some of that. Sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I gotta take off. Thanks.
Oh, you.
Speaking of Boy Scouts, I gotta head to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Wow.
Yep, look at our canoe for 8 days.
Oh, hey.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the weather's looking like this the whole time.
Oh.
It's like, well, we got anyway, so. Just
Don't
about-
get
Yeah, it's fine,
Yeah,
we will.
that's the tough thing, right?
You say have fun.
We only have 2 pairs of socks.
We
That's
will
all in the
do the
bag.
next
Oh,
meeting.
really?
It's not all the way now.
Okay, well, I'll teach you how to.
He said 16, but not.
Yeah, well, if we can get a fire going.
Right.
Good job.
Yep.
See you guys.
Jason, you're gonna be gone next Wednesday, and you'll be gone what Wednesday for,
The ninth.
The 9th, I can do the 16th.
16th is good?
I know Andy will be gone the 9th, I just don't know if he can do the 16th. I know.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Be safe. Thank you, Amy. So next, just want to make sure Julie.
We're at Agri-Rod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the next future steps, these are just things on the list that nobody's investing any time in right now, but. They were kind of left over from the old
Yeah.
list.
Okay.
So as we get rolling, we get.
Yeah,
Get
and
closer to, I guess, recommending something.
Sounds good.
because it's gonna be a big investment. For the road work.
Well, a lot of that's just what you do to in the future, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I wanted to, most of the reason I'm here is because my house is here. So
Where's, which one?
this big spot right across from the stadium, that's where I live.
Oh, on
And
Agawam.
so I don't think that any of the development stuff has ever taken into account the people that live here, you know, and what they have to do. So now every morning and every afternoon, or mostly in the mornings, these cars lined up here are shining into all our houses. The, you know, constant traffic on here is increased considerably. If there's a road, it's probably gonna end up straight into my front yard. And so I just want, I mean, this light is on constant. You know, there's just all of those things that has never been thought about, hey, people live there, I have to listen to the stadium. Like, I mean, I could hear it in my house one day so loud that I had to turn on the TV to watch the TV. Because they had it just cranked up as loud as they can, with music and what have you. It's not that it's, you know, I can deal with band on a Friday night, and do, you know, but it's Friday, Saturday, Sundays. 3 times a week, you know, it's like constant. Now I work there, so it's not a big deal for me because I'm sitting at the stadium. But for everybody, you know, it's never been, it's always like, well, you know, who cares what you guys, as long as the kids are getting hyped up for the game, that's what's important. You know, I would like literally had a coach tell me that. So it was, you know, there's all those things and it's. You know, like the years of dust from the construction, you know, like every morning, of those trucks starting at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, there's these people on 201 moved there and they kind of, you know, you already have the school there. You already know what you're gonna do. You already, you know. We went over there and moved on that road and we're back there because it's quiet. There's not a lot of light. I don't have all that, you know, light pollution. You don't have, you know, all of that stuff and that noise. I mean, the announcements for the elementary all day. The kids love kids, but they're screaming at first from them being out of recess, like, I don't know, like 4 hours during the day. I sometimes I'd stop what I was doing because I literally thought something was wrong. Because they're screaming so loud, I've gotten more used to it to where I'm like, okay, it's just kids, you know, like playing over there, and I don't want them to not play, but it's a thought, like. Maybe that playground should have been put on the other side of the school, where, you know, you're not having that issue, or you're not bothering, I can't even imagine the people that live here. That are a little bit closer and have that, I mean, those lights would be straight into their living. room. And that's what, you know, like with that road, I'm afraid that's exactly what's gonna happen. And it just would increase traffic on our road threefold. You know, it's like if they come out the other way and continue to come out the other way, then, you know, we'll be able to keep most of that traffic off of there by having the high school and the elementary exit, and then having a road that goes around the north end of the building, and then the school back in this area next to the track, instead of up front here where you could have like the practice fields and the soccer stuff, where it's not gonna impact all the people that live here that, you know, we moved here for the country. You know, we moved out here so it'd be quiet, so it would, you know, there was a big farm there, so it wasn't anything that, you know, I understood that the school owned the property, but, you know, I guess it's just to take into consideration all of those people that live along there, that have enjoyed being in the country, to not have that extra road there, if necessary, to maybe look at red lights. I went to Puerto Rico, and one of the whole islands has red lights for all the street lights, all the buildings is required, and then so their light pollution is almost zero. It keeps the light, so they have a light and it's keeping that safety, but it doesn't, you know, like ruin your ability to see the stars, you know. I just think that we are always looking at, you know, maybe what's easiest for the school, what's easiest, or I don't know, you know, like those kind of things, instead of, okay, how is this gonna impact the neighbors? You know, what's going on with them, and the noise levels and the driving. You know, there's already kids in practice driving over here, which is fine, but once again, it's just another reason why those lights are shining in the house all the time. And I'm probably 100+ yards off the road, so it's not like I'm sitting on top of it. But yeah, I guess the reason why I'm here is just so that that is taken into consideration, so we're not just saying throw a road here because this would be easiest for the school to put it out over here, and I understand the traffic patterns, you know, how hard it is, and, you know, I get that, but I also understand how much it's gonna affect that road there, to have that traffic up and down that road, because I mean, it'll be like just open season, it's constant, yeah. You know, whereas before, there's some people that'll slip around back behind Pisgah and go around to get in, so they don't have to get in that line for school, so that they sneak around the backside. So there's a lot of kids that do that now, but, you know, there's also some that just go around and go in the elementary around that way, so that they're not, they're figuring it out. So I just, I guess it's just trying to have that thought process, and how do we build schools, grow like we should be able to, and still allow the people to actually live here to enjoy the country living. You know, if this was in the middle of Carriage Trails, I don't know, you know, like they live on top of each other because they want to live. And they enjoy that, and it's great, you know, but we didn't, you know, and it's just, it's a lot. You know, and I know that we'll get used to some of it, but I mean, personally, I know that once my kids are through, I'm probably good. Just because you know, especially if there's roads and stuff through there. Because, you know, the whole point was to be in the country. Want to be like next door to the school that we built, right next to the road. You know, it's a lot, and that would affect every single person on that road. I think like with the elementary school, we didn't, it's like, how big of a footprint did we need? It could have been 2 stories and narrow and something, you know, like all of those things.
I agree, so I would tell you, I always say it's better to build up than out.
Yeah.
Um,
Costs a lot less, I
Yeah.
don't
I
understand.
mean, the last
whole
district
thing,
I
but
built
that's not-
There was a lot
Because
looked
of the
into that
things,
when we
yeah, like
decided to
Friday,
do one
like,
story
there's
versus
no
two.
tomorrow.
So it's
I'm
not
sure, I'm sure,
But
It's community.
I would, I feel bad for,
I know, but
It wasn't the community. It was
it
the
was
staff.
staff,
that-
I know, I
It was not
understand
all-
that, but I also.
There's more than just the community here. You got Carriage Truck Community and that too that
yeah.
wanted it.
I get. I know that, I get that, and I'm also like, you know, I don't care if you don't wanna go upstairs, that's what we're gonna do, it's gonna cost less, but nonetheless, I don't know, I just want those kind of things to be put into this planning and thought about and considered. You know, I know that those 5 houses or 10 houses or whatever it is down there, it's not gonna be like a you know, complete determining point, but I mean, it will, like, through Agawam, it'll like increase the traffic all over the street, going down Pisgah, and then, you know, it's gonna make a difference on all of that. And I mean, that's not even counting the lights for the stadium.
And the things that are gonna pop up next to it,
You know,
there will be more fields.
and, you know, and it's like even looking, they're talking about putting the baseball fields over there, and putting all those new lights, and I'm like, can we just put the baseball fields? Right here.
I don't know who
Makes
told you
sense.
that, but
Well,
That was part of
it's
the
just-
original
yeah,
plan. It
there's
had
just
got
been
moved from
100
there.
different conversations,
Let's-
you know.
that's part of it,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's got a
It's just like
story,
that's-
and
I
90%
don't-
of them wrong.
I don't know what's planned or what's going on, and, you know, probably when it came, but I just wanted the people in this community to understand how much that all of this affects all of the people that live here, you know, and just sticking a road in there is not as easy as, you know, well, how much does it cost? What is it gonna do for, you know, like, there's just other things to think about, how much it will affect all of us that live around there, and it's not like. I mean, like I said, if it was football and Friday night football game. We deal with it, it's, you know, it's just, it's not a big deal, but it's always, you know, there's always something going on, so, I just wanted people to take all that into consideration when you're putting this stuff together, to think about that, and those people that live right there. And how that will, I mean, the whole moving dirt issue, because they said like that was the best place to put that, I'm like, oh my God, they moved dirt for like 3 months.
Months.
I think that maybe it doesn't matter. You know, like, I think they're gonna move dirt no matter what, so I'm like, you know, there's those kind of things that. It's, yeah, I don't, anyway, I said what I wanted to say, and I just wanted that for people to understand that we are. Affected quite a bit from all this stuff that's. Getting built, getting put in, running and, traffic and all that stuff, so. Just something to keep in mind when making all these decisions.
Can you just give us your name for the minute?
Dania, Danea. It's CONEOLL.
ORR?
LL.
Oh,
I was gonna say, thank you for coming and appreciate you, I'm glad you sat at the table, I'm glad you were here tonight, and, I know for the hearing of the public, I didn't know if you were interested, or I appreciate you, speaking tonight and letting us know why you were here, and you're welcome to join, come back and join us every, meeting,
I might.
if you have time, and we would welcome that. Yes, so thank you for coming, and
And see, what I can tell you too, is, as superintendent, I can tell you that there's no plan that I'm aware, I just met with ODOT. we're not talking about doing anything with Ag Broad right now. Unless I missed something. No,
No, but she's right, I mean, if the if we. build
no,
high
but for
school,
now,
goes back
I'll take this conversation.
Yeah, this was
Right.
left over
So this,
from the
okay,
last.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to think, because I just met with them and they've got
Yeah.
nothing, you know, and in fact, ODOT's been pretty helpful as far as trying to help people, with things that have happened in the past,
But
right?
that's not even ODOT's road, so.
No, but it's yours.
Yeah, it's our road, it's a township.
Yeah, but I would
I
think
just
you'd
like-
be aware.
If it's something that can be avoided, that would be great, and things like, for instance, if you put a great big field house here, then no road can go there. You know, it's like, or can the road that way and still not spread it that way, there's those kind of things like for future, maybe the Eggenboro would be like the last thing after you put the school, you know, either way. If they can avoid it, that would.
Well, from a site plan, like I wondered when I got here, and you can't fix it now, right? But I was curious. People that would call me and complain about the football lights that moved into a house where the football stadium existed, that's a short conversation. But when we build a football field in front of your house, that's a different conversation. But I always thought that when I got here, the first day I got here, when the kids all came, I looked at the traffic pattern, I thought, oh my God. And then I called the Miami County Sheriff's Office and they came over. I was like, we gotta work on this. And they've been great about that, but, you know, it's from a campus, if you're building the campus, and again, you like campuses kind of sit by themselves, right? Not, and I don't know, you know, I would like to see roads come in internally, not from outside to come in and go through, right? You know, like parks and things like that. And we have we have 149 acres here. And I'm not sure why we don't build things more inside the acreage. I know there was some bedrock issues, there was some challenges during construction, I'm unaware, I just know there was some. But I think, you know, from the noise, the lights, you know, site and, you know, the plan, I just think moving forward, it's not the intent, I don't think, to put things on the exterior, it's more on the interior. I mean, that, you know, I talked about the baseball diamonds, the softball diamonds, clearly that the idea was if we could pull off was in the center down that way, right? I mean, and then you can build things up around it, but I'm not convinced that just adding a turn lane, this or that solves this problem. I just think that, you know, from a site plan, there's other things to look at, it's what we'll do. I mean, what you said, I feel bad about that, I mean, it's duly noted, there are a lot of activities going on and it's loud. So, you know, there's some things down the road. You know, we can, you know, and I'll ask them, you know, there's things out there I'm unaware of that maybe might help that issue too. Those come a long way. Yeah, but we see them on the roads all the time. They put the barriers up to keep the noise out of, you know, I don't know if we're gonna build 20-foot barriers down Agabrook, but.
Well, you know, I thought, you know, I
I mean,
really
you know,
see some, I'm like, about like picked up trees and like just went over here and started playing them. Playing them, I don't care, just.
No, but that's,
the
I mean,
noise,
it's
you know.
good. I
That
don't
would be great, because
disagree
we have no landscape.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
get us rid of that. It is always
Yeah,
been
it's like-
windy at least.
Yeah,
it's been
yes,
always.
yeah. And I guess, what was it, oh, I mean, like the noise is, I know Damon had turned it down and the coaches go and they just like crank it back up and, you know, they just don't. They just, you know, they don't live there, so it's not. They think, you know, I'm like the old cat lady or something, complaining about it, you know, I'm like. Hey, I get it, I do, but this isn't your daily life, so, you know. And yeah, hearing it in my house, like, you know, was not good. But
Some of the music's not very good.
no, it's not, no.
It's still appropriate.
Yeah, yeah, it is usually school appropriate,
It's just not very good.
sometimes not so much.
Yes, play some eight.
Yeah, there you go.
It's maybe music.
Yeah.
And I might be all right,
A lot of it is.
I'll come out on the front porch.
That's the other thing.
Some of what I heard, like,
Yeah.
my youngest was in high school going on, but I tell you what, some of that music, you know, it's not why I cut.
Right.
Please.
I tell that to my oldest.
All right, well, thanks.
I was gonna say, I just want to ask if anybody wanted to talk about anything in specific on item C. You already noted that we're just gonna have the one young
Let's
time.
talk about that, cafeteria capacities, school.
Yeah.
Parking capacity, we don't have enough space. Gym capacity, I'm being serious, gym capacity, full. Administration often space, we have no place to go, we're homeless in summer. We're working on it.
Sorry, I should have.
Is there
said that.
not one, there's no classrooms at all left in the elementary? No.
They can closets in the classrooms.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the-
originally the plan was to backfill that, but the idea was that it would take probably 3 years.
Well,
Well,
another year since elementary.
This would be the, this will be the third year.
Third year. Yeah.
Back then, check, done.
I mean, that, and the new building would be built by the time, the third year, so, because we would have had the ELP. So that didn't work out.
And yeah, we're gonna get information on that, but then the administrative, financing process, I mean, it's just, I mean, we've talked a little bit about that, but that is what the. Then athletic needs, we discussed, special ed needs, I think your numbers are gonna go, so.
Yep. Why do you think so low?
Just from the law of averages, we're so below the state average, I can't see us. I don't think we did a good job identifying kids in the past.
You want everybody out yet, or there's still some over there?
What's that?
There's still some kids over.
Yes.
So they'll be.
They will, high school kids will remain at Tip for 2 years. Because Tip they built new buildings. And when they entered those, they will not have for us anymore. But we've got 2 elementary units and a middle school unit, all our kids here. Which is good.
And those were not in the plan back then.
Right.
I mean, as far as backfilling. So
That's
that's.
true.
it's been
But
things
yeah,
out.
you're right.
Well, thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. I felt like I talked a lot this meeting.
Well, it was good. I mean, some of us have heard it, but not everybody, so thank you for
Thanks.
going through that.
It was my pleasure.
Thanks for coming and staying through the storm.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lynn, for the hearing of the public. And, next meeting and date, it sounded like we're gonna go for, July 16th at 6 P.M.
So
Wednesday.
That's a whole month away.
I know,
A whole month. ago.
I know. It is a long time. Would anybody, with the 4th of July, it's not next week, but the week after that's on a Friday. That's the only thing I was kind of staying away from. A lot of people have vacation and,
Once a month, I mean, it's summertime. That's plenty of time. We don't need one before then. There's too much going on.
there is a lot going on. What I'll try to do though, is because like I said, I left a message, so I'm gonna try to, I'm still working on it. Julie was way more successful, like accomplishing things than I was. You found it, everything you were looking for, I think.
Matt, you know how much paper is in your house?
Well, actually, these are on my computer. I printed them for this meeting.
Wow.
I mean, I have files and files and files and
Oh, I-
files. So, yeah, but I mean, one thing, if it's gonna be a month.
Natalie said it, I didn't.
But one thing,
I said from 2018 and beyond.
Oh,
and back.
yeah. If I send these things out. You guys can provide feedback right away and maybe I can get some, a couple of versions down. So that when we get here, we're not designing it off from scratch.
Right.
Yeah, so things that are missing, things where you want them. And I was gonna say, when she was talking about this stuff kind of being clustered around the stadium. Part of that logic was. You're gonna have a field house and concession stands and all this stuff. You don't wanna be building those all over 150 acres. It would be better to have like kind of an athletic complex that could share some of those
Don't disagree with that.
extras.
If I was just saying it'd be wide right on, maybe it's nestled in the middle of the 150 acres. I don't know the rationale, I don't know.
Well,
I
the
know-
thing
If we have any like visits or anything, like it's up to you. And you can always email me back and say, okay, I don't want it anymore.
Going back that way.
And
Yeah, that could be.
I can include you in the big list or I
Is
can
this
send
the
you a
one?
separate one. It's whatever you would want, if you want to keep
Hold on.
it. Thank you.
Is it this?
Yes, it was that.
Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
So we need a motion to
Yeah.
adjourn.
Yeah.
And then we got a cow or something. We can't do anything out there. either.
Just one.
Amy second.
I said,
Right.
I was gonna say, I don't know that it will get us much further, but I'm happy to follow up to drinkers if you want.
Oh, if you'd like, what we were gonna try to do is a tour,
Sure.
maybe more so in the late afternoon, evening.
Okay. Okay.
If that works,
If I
but if
can
not,
figure
that's
it out,
okay.
I'll
If somebody's only there in the middle of the morning or whatever, I'll take off work. Okay. Thank you, Amy, I appreciate it.
We have a motion in a second to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright.
Tom Boone's.
Thanks for coming.
Well,
It's 7:51.
Oh, that's me.
oh,
Thanks to all who joined online.
Everybody.
Anybody's there? Oh, that too long.
tell me about it. It's been a long day to sit.
Let's see.
Probably end up with too many of those,
I do.
although you're around a lot too.
Around, but I still,
Yeah.
this past couple of weeks, we had board meeting Monday, other board meeting Monday, this meeting tonight,
Yeah.
it meets, 3 meetings this afternoon. Not bad fact. And these chairs are
Oh,
Yes.
these are new.